Alright, let's go ahead and look at some troubleshooting steps here. So guys, before you blindly start trying to track down a problem, first you're going to want to check some logs of your web server and any related components, okay? These are usually going to be stored in /var/logs in a subdirectory specified to the service. So for instance, if you have an Apache server running on an Ubuntu server, by default the logs will be kept in /var/log/apache2. So check the files in this directory to see what kind of error messages are being generated. If you have a database backend that is giving you trouble, then this also will likely keep its logs in /var/log as well. Real quick, let me go ahead and open up /var/log for you, just so you can see some of the logs that are kept in there. So that's cd change directory /var/log. We're going to do an ls. Let's see what's in there. Alright, we have a Samba directory, which is a Linux web server. We have the boot log here. Okay, we have the cron and cronny log, libvirt, sssd, wtmp, vmware log, xor log. So we got a lot of logs in this log one, alright? And the more things we load onto here and set up, the more logs that are going to show up in here, okay? Let's go back to our PowerPoint, look at some more troubleshooting steps here. So other things to check are whether the processes themselves leave you error message when the services are started. So if you attempt to visit a web page and get an error, the error page can contain clues too, although this isn't going to be specific as the lines and log files. So guys, I can't stress this next part enough. Use a search engine to try to find relevant information that can point you in the right direction. Okay? So guys, when you get an error message or if something isn't working correctly and you can't seem to figure out where to start, I can't tell you how helpful Google really is and how often a sysadmin will actually use this. More often than not, you're going to have to rely on Google and other admins to try and help you get through something, okay? No point in trying to figure something else out on your own if it's going to take you much longer than it would to just, kind of seek out some help on the internet, okay? More than likely, someone's already ran into the issue that you've run into and they know how to fix it, all right? So go ahead and look up error messages when you can and when it's available. So let's talk about repairing general boot problems. So steps to identify boot problems, you want to remove the splash screen. Guys, we can't really do this on a virtual box, so we're just going to talk about it. But you would remove the splash screen, and to disable the splash screen and show the boot messages, you would highlight the first item on the menu and press E for edit, and you would move to the highlighted line that starts with kernel, and you would press E again to edit the kernel line. And then you would remove any references to quiet or splash and press enter, then B for boot. Okay? Now that that's gone, you're actually going to be able to see the messages that come up as your machine's booting up. And you can see where the boot process stops. Okay? And again, wherever it stops, you would Google that line containing the error. Okay? And to see what you can do. So it's possible that some piece of hardware is causing a problem. You could also unplug all unnecessary devices and try again. So maybe you have a USB in, and this has actually happened to me a few times when I've used VirtualBox. I have a USB in, and it tries to boot up, and it says, hey, I can't boot up, and it was actually because I had a USB drive in, all right? So when you're booting up, if something occurs, go ahead and unplug everything that you have first to see if that'll fix the issue for you. So let's talk about repairing the GRUB 2 bootloader. So you can enter sudo mount /dev/xd capital Y capital Z /mount. Okay, so X here can either be H or S, meaning hard drive, or maybe a virtual drive, and Y represents the number, and Z represents the partition. Okay, so guys, this is just saying you have your disk here. Here's the disk number. Here's the partition. Okay. So for example, we could do dev SDA3 mount. So first disk A, partition 3. Okay. So in this case, dev SDA3 is your Linux system partition. You can also use sudo fdisk-l to list all partitions if you're not sure about the system partition. Guys, note if you have a separate boot partition, you will need to mount it explicitly at /mount/boot. Okay. So then you could issue the command sudo grub-install space --root-directory equals /mount/dev and /sdx, x being the hard disk where you want to restore grub. Okay. Next, you would unmount the partition via sudo unmount mount and then reboot your computer. So guys, you're unmounting /mount. Okay, after running these steps, guys, you should be able to restore grub within 5 minutes. I'm not going to go through that, but I am going to show you that fdisk-l option. So fdisk-l, so dash list. Oh, I need to run it as sudo. So guys, real quick, I want to show you something here. When I use 2 exclamation points or double bang, that's going to run the last command that I ran. So I'm running sudo with the last command I just ran. Okay, pretty handy in case you don't want to type everything out and you just want to put sudo in front of it. So I'm going to put in my password for root. Oh, forgot about that. Alright, so I'm going to switch to root. There we go. Now I don't have to put in sudo anymore. So fdisk-l. And there we see it's going to list all your different disks and partitions here. Okay, in case you need to look up specific ones. So let's see, you have disk here, device, SDA1, boot, start, and so these are the sectors, byte sizes, total size, type, things like that. Okay. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. So that's how you guys, that's how you would repair the GRUB2 bootloader.